Hey guys, Alex from 7th Hour Films back again with Frieren. We were off last week. Slightly unexpectedly, we were off last week from Frieren because in the sub, they took off a week between episodes 5 and 6 because of the Olympics. So when the dub got to that point, they decided to take the week off too, just to keep to their normal schedule and not be too close to where the sub was. So yeah, we took a week off last week. Granted, if you're watching this after the season has already come out and you're just watching this in the playlist, then it doesn't really matter. But yeah, last time around we had logistics in the Northern Plateau where Frieren incurred some debt with a company. I don't remember what they were called, but a company, and she had to work in the mines for 300 years. Or, more realistically, she found them some silver and all debts were paid. So yeah. And then I think last episode was also, they were fighting stronger monsters because, or was that was episode 4, wasn't it? That was the end of episode 4. So I don't remember anything else that happened in episode 5. It has been 2 weeks, So yeah, that is pretty much it though. Like always, the reaction is down in the description and the pinned comment for your viewing pleasure. So let's go ahead and jump right into this episode of Frieren. Here we go. Well then. 4 swords. I mean, because we've seen, didn't the hero of the South use 2 swords, I think. So now we've upped the game. This guy uses 4. Good grief. Man. It's crazy to get like something serious in this season. It's like we've been kind of just going around, we've had some fights and stuff, but we learned about the hero of the South, we went on a date, we went to a hot spring foot bath, and now something serious. And now for something completely different. So yeah, with Metoda and Genau. Genau, a noun, a disease you get from chewing too much. I guarantee I made that same joke last season, and I just don't remember it. 4 swords. Man, it's fucking crazy. And it's a snake. That probably also doesn't help. It honestly does look like something out of Demon Slayer at that point, Not to bring up that whole thing, I still see memes on Twitter of people that are like, oh, Frieren would kill Nezuko, and it's like, just shut the fuck up. I don't care. It's not funny. It's not funny anymore, guys. They're 2 different things, clearly. Very somber episode, I must say, Like, very calm, like most other episodes, but just a very somber episode. You get just a little bit left of... You get a little bit of... You get a little bit of levity with Metoda, finding Zeria, Fern, and Frieren cute. So, alright. And then, what was the other one? There was, the squirrel that brought the message. Just some squirrel just hopped on Frieren's ass and delivered the message to them. Good grief. But yeah, otherwise, a very, very somber episode, man. Oh. So yeah. But interesting stuff. Genau. I wonder how you actually spell Genau. Because Metoda basically just looks like method with an E. But Genau, I have no idea how they spell that, so... Huh. Could be in this notebook, I guess. Let's see. No, because that's Delicious in Dungeon. Did I not? No, I didn't have Frieren in this notebook. I have Delicious in Dungeon in this notebook. So, yeah. Started with Doctor Who 410 and Delicious in Dungeon 113. And Delicious in Dungeon is what replaced Frieren anyway. So I don't have I don't have any of my Frieren notes. I don't know if I wrote down how to actually spell Gnow. Gnow, a noun, a disease you get from chewing too much. Gnow, a gnown. There we go. Why don't demons eat? Why didn't demons eat the bodies? That's such a terrible thing. It kind of reminds me of Attack on Titan a little bit, where like I think they basically like discover. I don't remember exactly how or when this happened, but I think they like discover, like they, I'm sure like Hanji like sliced open a Titan or something, and they basically say it's like Titans have no like digestive system, so they have no reason to eat humans, but for some reason they do. It kind of reminds me of that. Now I don't know. I mean, demon biology. I don't know how that works, but demon biology, like, I don't know. Maybe it could be something like that. Like maybe they don't even digest or like absorb the bodies that they eat. You know, they just do it because they can. You know, I mean, I don't know. It's the thing is trying to find. I mean, it's exactly what Genau said. Is like trying to find the logic in how it works, how the demons hunt and eat. You know, I think honestly, it's not something we really can find the logic in because they're so different. It's not something we can comprehend as humans, you know, because a lot of the basis of what we understand, a lot of basis of human knowledge is based on what we figure out about ourselves, you know, and then we see other animals that have very similar structures, you know. In this example, I guess you could say like a wolf, you know, but a wolf would attack. If they attacked a human, they would attack, then eat, then leave, you know, or they would attack their prey, you know, they would attack a sheep or, you know, something else in like a farm or something, but that's always for survival, not, they don't just do it for the fun of it, you know. But that's the thing, is that demons are a different class, but you can't compare them to humans because they're basically like a third thing. Like if you want to separate humans from animals due to, you know, human reasoning, you also have to then separate humans and animals from demons because they're like their own third class that exhibit traits of the other two but are wholly their own thing, which is why we can't figure this out. We can't figure some of this out because they are their own thing. They follow their own rules that don't apply to most predator species of animals, you know? And, you know, they don't... a lot of the things that seem similar to human characteristics are not actually... Like, they're similar, yes, but they're not the same. And that causes, you know, an extra problem, basically. So yeah. And they're also not minorities. All these fucking racist Frieren fans on Twitter. But we don't need to go into that again. So, I mean, it's just like a strange thing. It's like we see the demons like a predator species, like, you know, such as a wolf. They go and attack their prey, and they eat their prey. However, that's not always the case. So that's what separates them from the wolves. They can also talk, you know? They can talk and then come up with plans and strategies like a human, but they don't share the same human qualities. Like, they don't have the same understanding of humans, you know? It separates them from humans. They use words basically as a form of hunting, you know? But it's just not true. It's just not true. You know, like the demon we see at the beginning, you know, saying like, oh, please, I have a son. And it's just like, that's just an act to try to fool a human, you know? It's the wolf in sheep's clothing, basically, you know? And when Genau basically, you know, said, like, you are lying. You're just putting up an act. I know you are. Then he dropped it and he tried to attack and got blasted for it. And then afterwards, Genau just goes and it's just like, so where is this kid of yours, you know? Where is this kid you begged and pleaded about, you know? So it's such an interesting thing that you can, because yeah, other shows like Demon Slayer, Demon Slayer, for example, they just have a very different way of doing it that works for that story, The demons there are very different to the demons here, and it creates two very interesting stories in both cases. So, but here it's a very interesting thing of basically separating you, because a lot of times that is how we sort of define life on Earth is, there's two sort of different categories. There's animals, and then there's humans. Now, there's a lot of similarities. There's, like, with demons and humans and animals, like, there's a lot of similarities between humans and animals, but they are not the same, They are not the same. And so now it's this sort of trifecta. Of course, if we're being genuine, then honestly, there's humans and animals and plant life, but that's a different thing altogether. But in here, there is the trifecta of humans, which also still includes elves and dwarves and stuff. They still count as humanity. And then you have animals, wolves, sheep, cow, whales, fish, even all of them, even insects would count under animals. And then you have demons, which just function differently. They have similar traits. There are things in common with all three of them, with all three groups, but they are different groups. So you have to treat them all differently, So yeah, it's just a very, very interesting thing that they do with this show. So, and so yeah, this demon that slaughtered this village seems to have had 4 swords, which is interesting. Oh boy. Which means we're going to have to really work on this. I mean, there's 5 of them. 4 mages and a warrior, so hopefully they can do something with this. It is also interesting where they're trying to recreate the stuff with the swords, and Stark is just like, I'm not really a swordsman, but I don't know if that would work and stuff. And it's just like, honestly, though, he should technically be the most qualified swordsman there, even though he's not. He's not really a swordsman at all. He's an axe guy. But he had trained with a sword when he was a child, so technically, in a cosmic sort of way, he is the most qualified swordsman there, so it's also interesting because we see so many mages in this show. In episode 1, we saw Verbal and the other girl there, and then this episode we get Ganao and Matode and stuff like that, and we saw a ton of mages last season because of the tournament arc, but it's interesting, we don't see a lot of other warriors in this show, and it's also fascinating because Himmel was a warrior. Well, he was a hero specifically, but he was a warrior, he was a warrior hero basically. And it's interesting because you look at this and it's just like, oh, these villages that are being destroyed, and it's like, this is all because Himmel is dead, which it's not his fault. He died of old age, but because Himmel is dead, the demons are ready to try again now that their biggest threat basically is gone. So, and the hero of the South is also gone. But you don't see many other heroes. You don't see many other warriors. If anything, honestly, the only other warrior we've really seen was Croft, and that's it. That's really it. So we didn't even really see him do that much as a warrior, though. So yeah, but the others, the other heroes, the hero of the South and Himmel, they're both dead. But it's interesting just how many mages that we see in this show, but we don't see a lot of other warriors other than Stark, So I don't know. I would be curious to see more. So, but yeah, really, really interesting stuff. Again, a very somber episode, but that happens, that happens. We get these, serious episodes in the middle here. So, but yeah, I'd say that is pretty much it. With all of that being said, I'm Alex from 7th Hour Films, and I will see you guys next time. Take care. Alright guys, thanks for watching this video. There's a bunch of links on screen if you want to go click around any of those. There's a playlist with all of my Frieren reactions, as well as another video you can go click on if you want. There's also a subscribe button and a Patreon button on screen, as well as other links in the description if you want to go check out any of those. See you guys later.